Hi, I will show you how to use Perl tests Ruby gem with the Knapsack Pro gem and how to use Queue Mode provided by Knapsack Pro gem and combine this with the Perl test gem. And also I will show you a few pitfalls that you may encounter and how to tackle that. So Perl test gem and Knapsack Pro, this is what you need. And in the documentation for the Knapsack Pro, you may find two possible scenarios how to configure the CI server and Perl tests. And first scenario I would like to show you is that you have one CI server which is super powerful. You have a lot of CPU, a lot of RAM memory, and you want to use Perl test gem in order to run as much as possible Perl processes via Perl test gem so that you utilize the CI server machine as much as possible. And you could plug in Knapsack Pro with the Queue Mode to dynamically allocate your tests between the Perl processes that are run by the Perl test gem. And thanks to that, Knapsack will auto balance the tests distribution between those Perl test processes. And to visualize that, here you can see the CI build. The big box is the CI build, and within the CI build you are running just one CI server with a lot of CPU and RAM memory, and inside of this machine you are running two Perl processes by the Perl test gem, and each of this process is executing Knapsack Pro runner that is running your tests with Queue Mode and connecting with the Knapsack Pro Queue API. So basically the Knapsack Pro is responsible for the distributing the proper set of the tests between your Perl processes that were started by the Perl test gem. And what kind of problems you may encounter in this scenario? Basically the question is how much Perl processes you need to start by Perl test gem. If you start too many of the processes, you may overutilize the machine. You may saturate the machine and it will start working poorly, so your tests can become slower. For example, when we go to the Knapsack dashboard and you go to the list of your recorded build, you can find the tab with the statistics of the test files, and you can preview the individual test files and how long does it take to run the test file. So for example, here we can see that we can see the last few CI builds, and for the first few we can see that the test file took less than 1 second to execute, but at some point it took almost 10 seconds to execute the test file. So it looks like we have a big jump in increase of the test file execution time, and this could be caused by running too many Perl processes, and CI server has not enough CPU or not enough RAM memory or not enough disk speed to execute your test suite as fast as it could with a lower number of Perl processors started by Perl test gem. To mitigate this problem, you simply need to reduce the number of the Perl processes that are started by the Perl test gem and observe the trend on this graph to see if the execution of the test file is more or less similar across many CI builds that you are running. Okay, so this was the first scenario, which is, in a nutshell, just a single server with a lot of CPU, a lot of RAM. Typically, people are running tests using Jenkins on AWS machines, or maybe they're using code build from AWS or some other tools from Google Cloud Suite. So this is the first scenario, and how to configure parallel tests you can find in the documentation. I will attach the link down below under the video, and documentation will show you how to set up a bash script and properly set the environment variables that are provided by the parallel tests gem, so that the Knapsack Pro gem can read those values and incorporate them into the Knapsack Pro tests execution. Yeah, so basically you will have everything here in the documentation. Let's jump to the second scenario, which is case when you have multiple parallel jobs, and as part of the single CI build. So let's see on the graph. You have first CI server, and this is running two parallel processes that are started by parallel test gem, and also you have the second CI server that is running also two parallel processes that are started by the parallel test gem, and those both CI servers are part of the single CI build. So this is a simple scenario when you just run parallel jobs on your CI server. Most CI servers provide this capability, but maybe you decided that you don't want to run on the single job just your tests. You want to utilize your job even more because you have a lot of memory, a lot of CPU, and you want to squeeze as much performance as possible out of your single job. Right, so scenario is very similar, but we just duplicated what we had in the previous scenario, so we have two servers instead of one, and Knapsack would take care of test distribution between those two parallel CI servers, those parallel jobs, and to preview this setup, yeah, you can check the documentation, check this first link, and yeah, and the second link was showing the single scenario. Previously I made a mistake and I opened the wrong link, but yeah, you can check both links here and check the documentation, how to configure everything. What else I could show you? Here's an example for the test suite that is working fine. There is no saturated machine. Okay, not this link here. Yeah, so more or less the tests are taking similar amount of time, like less than 1 second here. And you can check a few test files, because of course you could have a test file that has random execution time because you have maybe test that is flaky or checking something within your browser, and this can sometimes take longer. But yeah, if you see like super weird jump in the graph that something suddenly started running 5 times or 10 times slower, then most likely you are just running too many parallel processes that are started by parallel test gem on the single CI machine, because this machine might have not enough CPU and memory, or maybe disk speed of the CI machine is not enough for the amount of the processes that you started. Yeah, I hope this will help you. Please review the FAQ and examples here. Yeah, if you have any questions, just shoot me email. Thank you for watching. See ya.